Is the Viltrox 13mm f1.4 the best wide-angle APS-C lens on the market? In this video, we'll find out. So Viltrox have sent me this lens to review, but I've not been paid for the review, and I can and will be honest about this lens. This lens is 13mm for an APS-C sensor, which means it's approximately 20mm equivalent on a full frame. It has a very bright maximum aperture of f1.4, making this a fast lens letting in a lot of light. It also has an autofocus system, which is a huge plus, putting it on par in terms of specs with the popular Sigma trio, particularly the Sigma 16mm, which is a similar focal length to this Viltrox lens. The price currently for this lens is $429, either from their official site and a similar price on Amazon. So by no means a budget lens, especially in the APS-C space, and where I think when people are using these cameras, they're usually looking for a slightly lower cost option. But for a wide-angle, bright aperture lens with autofocus, you are unlikely to find these specs any cheaper than this. So let's have a closer look at the lens. It comes in a surprisingly large box with the usual suspects of a carry case and documentation. It's very securely packaged in hard foam, meaning it's not going to get damaged in transit. And the construction of the lens is mostly metal and has a weighty feel to it. At 418 grams, you will feel that weight when paired with a more compact camera such as the ZV-E10 or the a5100. The aperture ring is the smaller of the rings on the lens and has a smooth action all the way through to f16, where there is a slight ridge to hold it in position. The A on the aperture ring is for auto, which is a nice feature to have the camera automatically adjust the aperture on the fly. Under the plastic rear cap are the electronics for the autofocus system, as well as a USB-C port. This is for lens firmware updates. The lens cap is plastic, and the lens element is a convex shape. The lens hood is petal-shaped and also made out of metal and screws on. The focus ring is much larger than the aperture ring and is continuous and has a smooth action. Printed around the lens element is the minimum focusing distance of 0.22 meters or 0.73 feet. Autofocus 13mm f1.4 and the filter thread size of 67mm. For a quick size comparison, here is the lens side by side with the Sigma 16mm, which I was comparing it to before. So the Viltrox is very slightly smaller, and I will be doing a full in-depth comparison video soon between these two lenses, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see that one. Let's go straight into some example videos and photos taken with this lens. All of these examples have been taken using the Sony ZV-E10 camera with no colour or image correction applied. With this lens's wide aperture, you can see you can get very professional and smooth looking out of focus backgrounds. And its wide angle makes it a really solid choice for wide landscape shots, and paired with the wide aperture, you really get excellent low light performance. I imagine this lens would be perfect for astrophotography. I found the image quality to be incredibly sharp, sharper than what I was expecting, especially as wide-angle lenses with very wide aperture can sometimes lose a bit of sharpness, so I have been very impressed with that. And especially in the centre of shots, I was very, very sharp, and the edges of your shots are still going to be pretty sharp. You will noticing vignetting around the edges of your images, especially at wide apertures, which darkens the edges of your shots. As I said, you'll especially notice this at the widest aperture of f1.4, but depending on your composition, this may be desirable. The autofocus of the Viltrox 13mm performs very well, especially seeing as it's a third-party lens. It's quick, accurate, and the focus motor isn't too loud. A couple of things to note: the Viltrox 13mm has no stabilisation built into the lens, so for video especially you will have shakier images or be relying on the camera's stabilisation. With the ZV-E10 for example, it has digital stabilisation. But a lot of Sony APS-C cameras do not have stabilisation built in at all, so that is worth bearing in mind. Also, the wide angle of this lens isn't particularly suited to portrait photography in my opinion, as even though it will be a clear, crisp image, it does make your subject's features look exaggerated. As you can see here, it does make noses look exaggerated and a bit bigger. So, who is this lens for? Well, if you want a super sharp lens with a wide angle and autofocus, then this is one of the best on the market, even rivaling the Sigma 16mm, which is an excellent lens. Do you like the look of this lens, or have you already got one? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to pick one of these up, I've left a link in the description. And if you've enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and dropping a like on the video. But until next time, see ya.